Ladies and gentlemen, Capital G back at it here with a bit of an oddball deck tech for you today. I hope you like this one. It is the last one of the year because, well, Christmas, and I still have some shopping to do. Don't tell the wife I don't have her present yet. Anyways, yeah, before we begin, just a reminder to come join the Dungeons and Cardboard Discord group. Always a fun time. It's the LGS away from our LGS. Like I said, play lots of Commander, Flesh and Blood, lots of PC gaming happening there too, Dungeons and Dragons, and a little bit more, and just, chill vibes and a good time all day and all night. Yep, so come join us. Easy to find players, find games, and most importantly, find some friends. Been meeting a lot of great people on this, so of course I'm happy to be a part of it. So there you go. Come join the group, and let's have some fun. And speaking of having fun, let's have some fun with this deck tech. So, Sakashima of 1,000 Faces. Blue and 3 for this human rogue. You may have Sakashima enter the battlefield as a copy of another creature we control, except it has Sakashima of 1,000 Faces' other abilities. The key one being that the legend rule doesn't apply to permanents you control. That's not all that important here, honestly. It's just a clone in the command zone. That's what we're here for. Her partner today, Sidar Kondo. White, green, and 2 for this 2/5 human knight with flanking. Creatures your opponents control without flying or reach can't block creatures with power 2 or less. So you might be wondering, what's with this pairing? It's such an odd one. Well, for Sakashima, it's because I want a clone in the command zone. And for Sidar Kondo, I just want access to the green and the white. So Sidar Kondo is here mostly for colors, although there are some back pocket shenanigans you can do with this. But really it's because we want the 3 colors, because we want Sakashima to make copies of all of our best slivers. We're playing 3 color slivers. Green, blue, and white. Reason I figured it'd be more interesting than, say, a 5-color sliver deck. So yes, the table will probably grow in the second you start throwing down some slivers, but by that same token, at least it's something a little different. And the idea, of course, of copying our best slivers, like copy a Brute Sliver, for example. That means whenever a sliver deals combat damage to a player, we may put 2 colorless sliver tokens onto the battlefield if we've copied our Brute Sliver. And Sakashima is not the only copy effect in the deck, by the way. Of course she wouldn't be. That'd be silly. Constricting Sliver. This is another great one to copy. 6 mana for this 3/3 Sliver. That seems expensive. But Sliver creatures, all our Sliver creatures become O-rings, so they'll come in and they'll exile opponents' permanents. Over spell table, a bit of a pain in the butt to keep track of everything, I'm sure, but hopefully you knock out your opponents fast enough that it won't matter. Diffusion Sliver for 2 mana. This 1/1 Sliver says that whenever a Sliver creature you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, counter it, unless its controller pays 2. Gale Rider Sliver to give all our slivers flying. Gem Hide Sliver says all slivers have tap, add 1 mana of any color. Now be careful of the distinction. Some of the slivers say all, which means if your opponents just happen to be running slivers or any changelings, for example, they'll gain those abilities too. Whereas other slivers will say all ours. Be careful and make sure you distinguish properly which ones give the abilities to your opponents and which ones do not. Still, this is a good one in our deck. Turn all our slivers into mana dorks. Harmonic Sliver is a big one here. A monster in this deck. White, green, and 1 for this 1/1. All slivers have, when this permanent enters the battlefield, destroy an artifact or enchantment. So turn all of our slivers into Reclamation Sages. Especially if we copy this and then they come in and pop 2 things at a time. Awesome. Note that this is a must ability, so I have to put a little workaround just in case we're the only ones left with artifacts or enchantments. Horned Sliver. All Sliver creatures have trample. Nice. Lancer Sliver. Sliver creatures you control have first strike. So the ones that just, grant us a keyword, like trample or first strike, don't copy those. We don't want copies of those. Mana Weft Sliver. Again, Sliver creatures we control can tap for a mana of any color. Megantic Sliver. This we want to copy it. And we want lots of copies of this if we can. 6 mana for this 3/3, but all Sliver creatures you control get +3/+3. So imagine you've got 2, 3, 4 of these out. And you're just turning sideways with big dumb slivers. I like it. Mesmeric Sliver. Amazing ability here. All slivers have Fate Seal 1. So, Sliver comes into play. You get to look at the top card of an opponent's library, and you can choose to put it on the bottom of their library. That is amazing. Great way to, take our opponent's best draws away from them. Might Sliver. All Sliver creatures get +2/+2. Again, we want to copy this one if we can. Mirror Image. It doesn't say Sliver in the card anywhere, but it's going to come down and it's going to become a copy of a Sliver. That's what it's here for. It's just going to copy a Sliver. Mnemonic Sliver. All Slivers have 2. Sack this permanent, draw a card. Somebody board wipes. We don't have a defense to it. This will at least get us some of our value back. Muscle Sliver to give the team +1/+1. Opaline Sliver. Our slivers get targeted, we get to draw cards for it. Polchis Sliver. 3 mana for this 2/2. All slivers have 2 tap or regenerate target sliver. Normally you find this in black, so we got a nice little time-shifted version here. Predatory Sliver, again giving your team +1/+1. The Progenitor Mimic. Copies the sliver now, copies the sliver on your next upkeep. And then your next one, and then your next one. If you can keep it longer than one go around the table. It very rarely stays more than one go around the table. Quick Sliver. Give the team Flash. Cast everything at instant speed. Reflex Sliver for the haste. Sentinel Sliver for vigilance. Shadow Sliver for shadow. Be careful for this one, because that means your team is likely unblockable, but you can no longer block your opponent, so be careful with this one. Shifting Sliver. Slivers cannot be blocked except by slivers. Your opponent's not playing slivers, well, you're just going to walk right through, and in this case you can block if you need to defend yourself from the crackback. Sidewinder Sliver. Give all your slivers flanking, make them more likely to win combat, and hey, it just happens to thematically line up with Sidar Kondo. Just saying. Sinu Sliver, again, Anthem's the team. Stunt Double. Just copy our best sliver at instant speed. Synapse Sliver. 5 mana for this 3/3 that says that whenever a sliver deals combat damage to a player, its controller may draw a card. Sweet. Talon Sliver for the first strike. Venom Sliver for the Death Touch. Virulent Sliver gives Poisonous 1. So Poisonous, how this works is that when the sliver deals damage, it gives, it doesn't matter if it's 1 damage or 10 damage, it gives 1 poison counter. Poisonous does stack, so if you do make, say, 2-3 copies of Virulent Sliver, well, then it's all of a sudden you're handing out 3-4 poison counters at a time while still dealing damage. So you're progressing on two fronts. You're pressuring the life total and pressuring the poison count. Ward Sliver. This is a bit of a star. White and 4 for this 2/2 sliver. Then when it comes to the play, you choose a color. All slivers have protection from the chosen color. You make a couple of copies of this, protect your whole team from the colors your opponents are playing. Amazing. First choice is typically going to be red if there's a red player. This way you don't get blown away by a blasphemous act. And Wing Sliver rounds out the slivers in the deck. 2 mana that says all sliver creatures have flying. We do have one other creature technically speaking, but let us ignore this entire face of the card. It's an MDFC. We're not playing it for the front side unless something's gone horribly, horribly wrong. This is what we want, is the back side. So being an MDFC, we can choose which side to cast. We're going to choose to cast the back side pretty much every time. And it's blue, blue, and 3 for Echoing Equation. Choose a creature you control. each other creature you control becomes a copy of it until end of turn. So let's say we have our Might Sliver, and we've got 4 other slivers. Let's turn everything into a Might Sliver. And all of a sudden, we've got 5 slivers that they have their base power toughness, and 5 +2/+2 Anthem stacked onto them. So 11/11 or better on the whole team. I like it. That's what it's here for. And it's not the only card that can do this stunt. But before we go into the other cards, let's go to our artifacts. Not running too many here, just the Arcane Signet. Helm of the Host. This is a big one, of course, because it makes us more copies of slivers on combat step. Lifecrafter's Bestiary gives us the scry every upkeep, and whenever we cast a creature spell, we get to pay a green to draw a card. Liquid Metal Torque. I like it because it ramps us, and with our Harmonic Sliver, we could end up blowing away any permanent we want. Sol Ring, of course, and the Vanquisher's Banner gives the team an Anthem effect, and whenever we cast a creature spell of the type that we choose, which obviously will be Sliver, we get to draw a card. Enchantments include Guardian Project and Rally the Ranks. So Rally the Ranks, of course, will choose Sliver and Anthem the team. Guardian Project, as long as we're not copying a Sliver with, say, Sakashima or Stunt Double, we're drawing a card off of this. So just good card momentum. Our instants begin with Cackling Counterpart. Blue, and 1 to create a token that's a copy of a creature we control, which we can do at instant speed. Be very careful, though. Make sure nobody at the table has a Dual Caster Mage. Because if somebody's got a Dual Caster Mage, they're going infinite. So be very careful with this card. Druid's Deliverance. As you can see, it's possible for us to make token copies of creatures we control. It's also possible for us to make Sliver tokens. So a fog effect that can just, possibly make us another Sliver. Sure thing. Eladamri's Call tutors out whatever Sliver we need. Running the Harrow, of course, to ramp us up. Select 1 land, go get 2 basics. Heroic Intervention, of course, to protect the team. Make a Stand, also here to protect the team. And it also gives them a +1/+0 buff in case we're going for an Alpha Strike. Return to Nature, pops an artifact, an enchantment, or exiles a card from a graveyard. Rootborn Defenses, again, gives the team Indestructible, and the possibility of copying a token. Sublime Epiphany, I love this card here. Once we've got our board going, we're going to keep our mana open for this. It is totally worth it. Because we can choose any number of modes. In concept, we can choose all 5 depending on what's happening on the table. You can counter a spell, counter an activated or triggered ability, return a non-land permanent to its owner's hand, create a token that's a copy of a creature we control, that's a big one, and draw a card. All amazing. 6 mana, and we're getting a lot out of this card. Sundering Growth rounds out our instant package. 2 mana in any combination of Selesnya colors to destroy an artifact or enchantment, then populate. So again, if we happen to have a token, we get another. Our sorceries include the Ballad Get Recovery, which we can use it to regrow a card from our graveyard, or we can play it as a land if we need the land. Running Farseek, of course, to go get a Plains, Island, Swamp, or Mountain card. Into the north to go get Snowlands, because we're running some Snowlands. Nature's Lore. Search our library for Force, put it onto the battlefield. Rampant Growth to go get a basic. Rite of Replication. For 4 mana, we get to copy one of our slivers once. Or for 9 mana, we get to copy it 5 times. Now imagine we copy Megantic Sliver 5 times. Oh ho ho, I like the sound of that. Sakashima's Will. Again, when we're ready to go wide, blue and 3. We can choose one of these modes, or we can choose both if we have a commander in play. And those modes are: target opponent chooses a creature they control, we gain control of it. Sweet, if somebody's going Voltron, we might be able to take their best creature, their best and only creature with this. Also, choose a creature we control. Each other creature we control becomes a copy of it until end of turn. Again, make copies of our Brute Sliver and all of a sudden have an army. Make everything a copy of Megantic Sliver or Might Sliver and just go tall. I like it. Solve the equation. Ghost gets one of our key instants or sorcery cards when we need it. Spitting Image. Create a token that's a copy of target creature. And we can discard lands late game to cast it again. And 3 visits. Search our library for a forest card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Let's talk about our lands then. So, fairly budget-friendly land base for the most part. So we got the Arctic Tree Line. So our Snowland fetchers can get this. Running 2 pathways, the Bark Channel pathway, which can be played on the green or blue side. There's the blue side, of course. Branch Loft pathway can be played on the green or the white side. Running our Shocklands, which, I mean, these are getting a reprint in that fun Infinity set that's coming out. I'm not going to be doing any Infinity decks, just a heads up. I'm not really into the unsets, so I like the humor, but it tends to wear thin quickly, so I'm not going to touch those sets. But the lands look like they're going to be fun, so there you go. Command Tower, of course, for all our colors. Evolving Wilds, running the package with Fabled Passage, and you'll see Terramorphic Expanse a little later. Running Field of the Dead to create some tokens, which we can eventually turn into slivers. We have so many different lands that I figured it was worth just tossing in here. 4 forests, a glacial floodplain, hollowed fountain, 3 islands, Mutavault. We've got a sliver in our mana base. Just pay 1, turn this into a sliver if we need another sliver. 3 plains, a Razortide Bridge. So, let's say we're in a hypothetical situation of we've got our Harmonic Sliver, and we've already blown up all of our opponent's artifacts and enchantments, but we don't want to blow up ours. We really don't, but we have to. We can target our own artifact lands. They're indestructible. They don't blow up. Perfect. Rhinewood Falls. And just the battlefield tapped, of course. Sliver Hive. Tap for mana of any color to cast the Sliver. Or we can dump mana into this to create Sliver tokens. 3 snow-covered forests, 2 snow-covered islands, and 2 snow-covered plains. Just to ensure that we have more cards of different names for Field of the Dead. Tanglepool Bridge. Running the Temple Garden. There's the Terramorphic Expanse we were talking about earlier. Thornglint Bridge. And lastly, the Vitu Gazi, the City Tree. Seems odd that we want to create sapling tokens, but I figure it's a nice little mana dump if we ever run out of cards, or if we're ever, just in a spot where we don't want to block with our slivers. We want to block with a sapling token. Sure. And of course, we can eventually turn those sapling tokens into slivers with some of our spells. So that works too. And with that in mind, that is our Sakashima of 1,000 Faces Sidar Kondo deck. Hope you all enjoyed this little quirky take on slivers. Like I said, Sakashima is an all-star, and copying slivers seems to be a waste of talent, but by that same token, it's fun to do something a little different, a little wacky once in a while, so here we are. With that in mind, I'll take the next couple of weeks to refresh, get through the Christmas holiday season. Maybe I'll get something nice for Christmas in terms of Magic. I'm sure I'm getting nice things for Christmas regardless. Somebody remind the wife that my #1 item on the list is Metroid Dread. I chose not to buy it because I want her to buy it for me for Christmas. Buy Metroid Dread. Anyways, on that, I will see you all again in the new year and on the Dungeons and Cardboard Discord groups. Bye for now.